Hi, team. Priscilla Carrasco here. Today I'm going to be speaking with you guys about product. A little bit before we get started, a little bit of background on myself is I've had my license. Actually, I just did my continuing education, so I know this for sure. I've had my license now 5 years. I've been selling active insurance for about four and a half years. And I've been with Family First Life the whole time. I'm with Family First Life Golden State. I am a sales manager there, and I'm working to become a VP. So with product, I know that you guys have did training, things like that, with the in-home, the phone script, and I know for myself, it's like when you get in the home, even though you can call the hotline, things like that, I wanted to be prepared. I wanted to know, like, hey, what products are the best ones? Because as independent agents, it's like we have all these products thrown at us, and it's a beautiful thing. Like, I'm not saying it in a bad way, but it can be a little confusing. It kind of is overwhelming, So for myself, what I did is I just kind of went through the products, and I didn't reinvent the wheel. I looked around what people were writing and why they were writing that, because, of course, it has to be beneficial to the client. So first, let me just explain what I think is really important for me. I had to understand what it was that we did, right? So what we do is we write simplified issue business. And what that means is that the business that we write on the clients, the clients are not going to have to go fully underwritten. So nobody's going to go out there, nobody's going to take blood, saliva, swab them, anything like that. But what they are going to have to do, what falls under simplified issue, is they're going to have to answer some yes and no questions. So basic questions on the application. They're going to have to fall under a height and weight recommendation requirement for the in particular product that you are writing. So what I would say is on the products that I'm going to recommend, that it's important for a new agent or, any agent to have an underwriting guide. So that's something that you can get through the insurance carriers. They're free. They'll send them to you. So number one, the underwriting guide. And number two, the medication knockout form. And so what that means is, since there's going to be no one to go over there and take blood, saliva, anything like that, with insurance companies, what they're saying is hey, look, we're going to go through the pharmaceuticals. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull MIB, so the Medical Information Bureau, on this client. And we feel that we can get a good enough diagnosis on what's going on with the client just by looking at their medications. Prime example, a medication that most people take is lisinopril. So lisinopril can be used for high blood pressure, things like that. So if that client takes lisinopril, the insurance company is saying, hey, we know that they have high blood pressure, so there's no need to go out there and take blood and saliva, okay? So that's just the basis of what it is that we do. It's falling under simplified issue, okay? So now let's get to the products. So there's a couple of products that I really like for numerous reasons. And of course, being kind of selfish, they are with Americo, and the selfish reason is because Americo bonuses us, okay? So they bonus us 2 times a year, and it's called You First, and anything that you write over, I believe it's $35,000, you receive 8% of that. So they will give you a check for 8% of everything that you write over $35,000. The You First just started, so what I would recommend is, if you're not writing Americo, to start writing them because you could get a bonus check for the holidays. It comes right in time for Christmas. So the first product that we're going to talk about that I really like with Americo is HMS 125, HMS 150, okay? So what this is a term product, and it's mainly used for mortgage appointments. And what I really, really like about this product, it's like, when you go into a home, they can just feel like you're just trying to sell them something, and maybe it's not beneficial to them. What I really like this product because it is exactly what they were asking for. What I mean by that is HMS stands for Home Mortgage Series. So they've asked for mortgage insurance, and that's exactly what the product is called, Home Mortgage Series, okay? The HMS 125 Plus, the plus stands for accidental. So what that means is if the client dies, they get paid whatever the product was written for, typically the $250,000, because we don't want to go over $250,000, depending on what state that you live in, because anything over that, you would have to go through blood and saliva, and that's the whole reason why we're writing these products, because we want to keep it simplified, okay? So what the plus means is that if they die accidentally, they're going to pay additional, okay? So that's the difference between the HMS 125 and 150, okay? So 125 means if the client dies accidentally, they're going to pay them an additional 25% on top of the amount, okay? And the 150 means that they're going to pay them 50% on top of the amount. The really, really cool thing about this product is that it is a term product, but at the end of the term, whether it's 20 years, 25 years, or 30 years, the client will receive all their money back tax-free. And what it's meant to do is it's meant to, when they receive their money back, they can pay off their mortgage sooner. So it's really, really cool. And what I like to tell the client is, hey, we're going to see if you qualify for this program, and it's not going to cost you anything, because it really isn't, because they're going to get all their money back at the end of the term. A couple other cool things about this product is it has living benefits. So it's not just if you die, it's also if you live, right? So it has critical illness rider, chronic illness rider, and terminal illness rider. And those are really cool incentives to have within a product, because I've looked at different policies, and some people have to pay for those. Like, they're not free. They could be like $50 or $100 a month, and it's included in this policy. It's built in. So this policy is really beneficial to the client. A couple other things that this policy has that I think is very important is it has like different riders that you can add on, right? So you can add your spouse to it, and you can add your children to it. Now, I typically don't do that, and this is the reason why. I don't add a spouse because of the fact that the insured only receives the premium back on the primary insured. So what that means is when the term is done, although both the husband and wife were protected under the policy and they paid for both insurance, they're only going to receive the premium that they paid for the primary insured. So it makes more sense for both people to have their own policies, because they can get their money back on both of them if they have their own. Also, if someone dies and the other person no longer has insurance, okay? Another rider that it has is a children's rider. So you can add the children to that policy, but again, it's going to be a term, and what I would recommend in that situation is to go with Mutual of Omaha, because they have a kid's whole life policy. And that it's really cool. It's up to $50,000. After they've had it so long that they can renew it with no questions asked. So it's a really, really solid policy for a family. Okay, so I don't like to add riders on anybody's insurance policies. I like everybody to have their own sound policies that are good policies. So in that case, I would go to Mutual of Omaha for the whole life children's policy. So the next product, one more thing. I typically only show people this if they're like no older than 55. In most states, you can show it up to 60, but I just feel like 55 and under, it's the price is reasonable for them. Now, if they're over 55 or they don't qualify for this policy, or it's just a basic life insurance, if I'm just selling life insurance, the product that I like is called Eagle Premier, and it's also with Americo. Now, the reason why I like Eagle Premier is because it's no nonsense, okay? Just like Americo, it's an e-app. You get an instant decision, and it is a really sound policy. And what I mean by that is the client can get up to $90,000 of whole life insurance, okay? And what that means is if they die naturally, it's $30,000, okay? And it has an accidental, which doubles, so it would be $60,000 if they died accidentally. And then it has a triple indemnity, which would be $90,000, and that would be common carrier. So what that means is if they died in transition, like if they paid a fee, let's say it was an Uber, let's say it was an airplane, a train ride, if there was a point of destination and they paid a fee to get to that destination and they died en route, it would pay out triple indemnity. Now, that's really, really cool for insurance policy, because it's not just accidental. It can potentially pay out 3 ways. And I believe that it's just good insurance, you know. Another thing that I like about this product is it's solid, okay? It's permanent protection. The rate never increases. It will go through no physical exam. It's protection from the very first day if they qualify. And it pays out triple indemnity. And then there is a grandchild term rider that you can add on to that. It's only a couple of dollars. So if they do have grandchildren, I would say, like, yeah, obviously let's do that. But let's also get the grandchildren a Mutual of Omaha policy, because it would be the same type of insurance that they're applying for like pennies for the grandchildren. And why wouldn't they want to lock in a rate for the grandchildren? Okay? So those are the 2 products that I really, really highly recommend. And then, of course, the Mutual of Omaha. Now, let's say we sit with somebody and they, you go through the sheets and they're answering yes to every question, like they just had a heart attack. Their health is kind of, declining, and they don't qualify for anything, okay? And the cool thing is, since we are brokers, we have something to offer them, okay? We have something called graded policies. So what that means is that they're still going to get insurance, but if they die within the first couple years of the policy, what the insurance company is going to do is they're going to give them interest. So they're going to give them all their money back plus some percentages depending on what you write. I typically go to AIG. American Amicable also has a pretty cool one. So there's something for everybody. And with the AIG one, it's graded, and you can do it online. So it's the same process as Americo. So there is something for everybody. So with that being said, agents, those are the main products that I go to: the HMS 125, 150, Eagle Premier for whole life, Mutual of Omaha for the children's product, and if we have to go graded, AIG, American Amicable, they offer great products as well. Now, what I would recommend doing is getting a hold of insurance companies if you haven't, and they give you little brochures. So what I like to do is on the Eagle Premier series, they have a little brochure, and what it does is it pretty much sells the product for you. I just open it up and read to the client. It says no physical exam, protection from the very first day, the rate never increases, all the things that I previously explained, it's right there on the sheet. So I would recommend always carrying that with you. And then for the HMS Plus, they also have a brochure, and that depending on what state you live in, it would be, the HMS Plus cashback. I believe it would be Series 296, but don't quote me. Once again, it just depends where you guys live. So that's all I have for you guys. I hope that this helps. And don't forget, right after this, to go onto YouTube. We're going to have our call with Golden State. Thank you.